Yo, good day and welcome to another episode of RoadFS Detail Memoirs. I'm super excited. You guys can see that Rod is not with me. You know, he had a wedding, so him and his family drove over to, I don't know if they drove. Actually, I'm sure he drove because he's cheap. Plus, flying 4 people over to Seattle's not cheap right now anyway. But yeah, so it is just me and my awesome guest. So I have Kelly Mankin. Aloha.
Aloha.
So she flew in from Kona, Hawaii, the Big Island, one of my favorite islands. If you guys ever get to Hawaii, you got to go to the Big Island. You got Kona and Hilo. And Hilo's the surf side and Kona's the hot side.
Yes, it is.
So we're super excited. So she came in for a
class reunion.
Yeah. Are we going to tell people how many?
Or are we 35. 35. It's a half reunion, but yeah.
No, that's good. Super fun. It's good. It's fun to connect. And I didn't realize that you are actually from Boise.
I moved here. I'm from Portland originally, but I moved here when I was 8. So I went to Collister, Hillside Junior High, and then graduated from Capital. Played sports and did the whole gamut. My mom still lives here. My brother still lives here. And
that's super fun.
Tons of family here. So
yeah. And yesterday you got to do Girls' Day. And,
I did.
And I love your Girls' Day because when I talk to my daughters about a Girls' Day, I get two extremes.
I bet.
Right? I got the girly girl and then I got the sporty girl. And so I never know what I'm going to get.
No, you're like getting like the nail spa day, or we're going to go to lunch and go to a, like I hung out with Sydney Breakwin yesterday and we went over her studio or her shop and then had lunch and we talked cars the whole time. So it's good. Yeah. That's what we like to do. That's the girl day for us. She is. It's great.
She loves it. So that's super fun that you get to do that, right? Yeah. Because it's fun to see so many women in the industry, and having such a powerful impact. I mean, we got you, we got Sydney, Marcella. Yeah. I mean, you can just Jennifer Turcotte. I mean,
Jennifer Turcotte, Jessica Rook. I mean, you name it.
You name them. The buffing queen. I mean, there's you got the detailing mermaid over in Minnesota. I mean, right. Yeah. So I mean, it's super fun and to have that.
We got Auto Geek. We got Robin Sweet.
Robin Sweet. I got to meet her at Air Force One. She is so awesome. Nice. Yeah. In fact, she's supposed to be on the show in a couple of weeks.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. She's great.
Fortunately, Chris caught just an amazing moment with her at Air Force One. Oh, nice. So she's detailing and all of these girls are all around her asking about detailing.
I love it.
And I'm like, oh, that is so cool, right?
It is because, when I started, there weren't a ton of women in the industry. It was really hard, in fact, to be taken seriously. And now, I mean, we have a smattering of really good female detailers. And I mean, that's a pride point for sure. And just getting more people interested, more younger women in the industry and interested and engaged.
So how did you get started? Let's talk about your story.
So it was so I was in restaurants for many, many, many years. And then I had an addiction problem and I was kind of at a crossroad in my life and I started detailing and I had a proclivity for it. And as I started making life choices, I just really it was such a good focus. Like I was hyper focused, which meant I was better at it because I was just concentrated and it gave me focus to in my sobriety, to start my sobriety and really start those life changes moving. So I started mobile. I started working for another person and everybody's like, you need to start your own business. You're better than the person you're working for. And that ensued. And then I started a little shack right next to there's one Main Street in downtown Kailua, Kona, and it's just this little, sleepy beach town. And right at the end of town, I set up a tent and I started detailing. So I had 3 jobs. I was working in a restaurant, I was working retail, I was working retail jewelry sales, and then I was working at my exterior, my outdoor shack. It was like
Your
a shack.
shack.
It was a shack.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it was great because and then I started just as I really realized I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't really want to work for other people. And so, the transition, it took a while, but then I had then I went mobile again, and then I went to another outside shack. And then I actually finally went in by the Kona Brewing Company, and I went into my first fixed location. So that was like, gosh, I've been detailing. It'll be actually, I'm coming up on my 21st year in August. And so 10 years ago was my first fixed location, and I'm moving into my largest shop
Yeah, and
now.
it's huge.
It is.
I'm looking
I'm
at the
like, what am I
pictures.
doing?
I'm like, oh my gosh. I
It
mean,
is.
you can pull planes in that sucker.
Almost. I mean, maybe a small plane, but I went from 1650 square feet to almost 3,500.
Geez,
So
that's
it was
bigger than my house.
It was a big leap.
That's
So
awesome.
it's been stressful, but I'm so excited. I'm just really excited.
That's so
It's great.
fun.
Yeah, it's great.
I want to go back because I think, before you and I got on, we were talking about my podcast that I had with my son,
yeah.
right? Yesterday with Sean Hart on a Father's Heart podcast. And I think a lot of times we miss the important topics, the hard topics, right? And you mentioned, and I don't want to let it go,
No, please.
that the detailing helped you get through addiction. And
Yes.
there are a lot of men and women that have gone through challenges in their life that often involve addiction, abuse. I mean, just a myriad of
Trauma.
things, trauma, right? Because I know that you're very involved with the Light On Foundation.
I am.
And so I wanted to talk about that because I think it's an important aspect of the story, because it's not just one day I wake up and I'm quitting.
Right.
It's one day I wake up and I'm going moment by moment, literally moment by moment, day by day.
Yes.
And it's a beast.
It is.
So how did you work through that? And how was your business to help you work through it? Because you said it helped you.
Oh, it did. So when I was full in my addiction, and I hadn't quit my other jobs yet, and I was just dabbling, and I was really enjoying detailing, but I hadn't gotten super serious yet because my addiction and my alcoholism was holding me back. Struggling with depression and anxiety, that I didn't even realize at that point that that it was overlapping in all areas of my life. So unfortunately, I mean, this happens a lot. I overdosed a couple times and almost died. And there was a point where I was like, okay, I need to start making choices for myself. So I called it a life choice change. And I got serious about detailing. So that was like my saving grace, was getting into detailing full time. I quit my other jobs and I went heavy duty into therapy. So I didn't go the AA route, and whatever works for anybody, I support 100%. People are different, people do different things. But I focused on my business, and so it was I white knuckled it for a while. I was super sick when I first stopped. And it took me a while to peel back all the layers of the onion to get to what was really the problem, was trauma and childhood trauma. So when I started really getting to know myself and centering on myself, was when everything started really falling into place. And then I got really excited about my job. And then I wanted to do more training and I wanted to get better and I wanted, then I started having confidence and pride and all of those things. So that really shifted gears for me and into being an entrepreneur and just not creating a job for myself, but actually, having a career.
Yeah, one of the things that's been really fun to watch is your transition. I mean, we met in 2018,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was the year before that you had trained with Rennie.
Yep.
And you got selected to be on the Air Force One team. And I know you were really, really humbled by that.
I was jazzed. And what really impacted me was Dick Nelm, the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
He tapped me on the shoulder and he started talking to me and thanking me. And there was such an overwhelming sense of pride. And I was really jacked about the project anyway, because I love aircraft and I really wanted to just, eat up every moment of that experience. But Dick Nelm brought a whole nother level to it. And he's just putting your life on the line. Like, he flew a bomber in World War II. He's 99 years old now. He was 96 then. And it was just the whole entire experience. It was life-changing. I decided to lose weight after that because I struggled. I had injuries and I had 72 extra pounds on me. So another life choice. So that initiated another life choice, and it really got me serious about aircraft. So definitely, as you can see these forks in the road where I just again, it hyper focuses me. It's really great for my recovery. It's good. It keeps me balanced and centered and in a state of gratitude, really.
I think a lot of men and women really struggle with where they are, but more importantly, they struggle with where they were.
Yeah.
Right. And where they were, it's like we were talking to Mike Walling last week. He's like, you can't be looking in the rear window.
No.
Right. And a lot of times we get trapped in yesterday that we're not able to make the life choices that is going to change our trajectory.
Right.
I mean, because you think about little life choices that seem insignificant really propelled you into a completely new
different direction
right? And opportunities.
Truly. And I think there's, and when you struggle with anxiety and depression too, there's that sense where you get, there's there's a place where anxiety can be functional and not dysfunctional, where you acknowledge it and it can inspire you to go in a different direction. Or if you're in the overwhelm sense of anxiety, then you're kind of in a dysfunctional anxiety. But you can, if you get to, shake hands with those things, then you can use them to propel you forward. And if you are looking in the rearview mirror or you're looking too much ahead, that can be overwhelming. So really staying in the moment and having, I talk about aspirations and trajectory. I do vision boards all the time. That's what gets me. I have to write it down and look at it every day and go, okay, we're going to knock one of these things down at a time. But again, if you get too far ahead of yourself or you're looking too far behind you, it can be hurtful.
It's a crazy balance, right? Because you need to recognize that the past brought you to where you are.
Right.
Right. My son always says this. He goes, Dad, I have no regrets because my decisions brought me to where I am today. And now I have opportunities based on that experience. So I can either let that experience hold me back or I can use it as a launching point to move me forward. Right. Instead of it being a crippling force. And, Rick pointed out, it's easy to get caught in just today. I'm complacent. I'm good enough. I got a good living. And that's okay. If you're happy there, that's fine. But when you wake up and go, wow, I'm doing the same thing. I haven't really grown as a person, let alone a business, but more importantly, as a person. And he's like, I had to really start looking forward. And, we were talking about my daughter. It's sometimes she looks so far forward that, man, it just becomes overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa, 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 step back.
Yeah.
Let's break down today and let's just win today.
And baby steps. Like if you're struggling, then you're just doing that 1 second at a time. You're doing 1 minute at a time. You're doing 1 moment at a time, like whatever it takes you to get to the next step of. And if you got to know that a feeling only lasts about 90 seconds, like a really intense feeling, and you can shift out of that if you just have the right tools. And if you get stuck in the spin out, and we do sometimes.
So you talk about the right tools,
Yeah.
right? Let's talk about that. What have been the right tools for you to keep you on track?
Oh gosh, so many. I go to a therapist regularly for stress in my business because it is constant. And when you're a business owner, and I have a
Constant stress in business,
and always
really?
answering the phone. You're like, I've got a distributing business, I've got an aircraft business, and I've got a shop, and employees these days alone. I mean, it's impossible.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, regular therapy for business stress is 100%. I'm on that weekly. I also do things like physical, like diet and exercise and workout and water. I mean the water. If I didn't have the water and I wasn't in the water all the time, I would not drinking it, swimming in it. But
that too.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in it, on it, under it.
Exactly.
Dude, if it's got water, my name's on it.
That's right. That's me. So yeah, you find the things that really motivate you, and things that give you that put you in a state of gratitude and that you love. That is a game changer for you. As long as you can plug into any bit of what really lights you up, then plug into that.
So what really lights you up?
I love helping people. I love my job. I love working with the women of the Light On Foundation. That really lights me up. I love being anything in Hawaii, like anything involving any dolphins, whales, whale watching, etc. I'm there. That is really my happy place in my Zoloft. That is like if I plug into the water and go, I'm seeing fish and cetaceans and whatever. That plugs me into a really good place.
And I think that's important because I think a lot of men and women that are business owners, they get so focused on their business that they don't make time for their happy place. What the heck is that?
Who's calling?
That?
Who is that? Is that Rod?
Well, no, actually, it's not. It's so every day we have a stand up at 9:00. Our team does a Zoom call or stand up and together, and we talk about the plan for the day. So we do it at 9 and we do it at 3. Well, usually this podcast is at 10. So my alarm doesn't usually go off.
I see.
So, yeah. So I'm like, shoot, I forgot to turn that off. But I think it's important, that we talk about, people always talk about work-life balance. And I'm
really
like,
important.
Well, and I view work-life balance as different than trying to even the scales. I'm like, to me, when I'm at work, I'm zoned in, right? But when I'm home, I'm with the kids. I'm with my wife, right? I'm in the zone with them. If I'm in the water, I'm in the zone.
Right.
I mean, all day, if I'm surfing or diving or on the boat, whatever. I mean, that is like you, that's my happy place. And I think more business owners need to make time for their happy place.
I think so too. And I think, I mean, as a younger business owner and our entrepreneur, I was really, and with my addiction, like I'm addicted to just about everything. So when I started my work, I was working like 12, 15, 16-hour days, and I had no balance and I was exhausted all the time. And it's really important to take, even if you're just overwhelmed in a day, go, step away, go get a coffee, take 10 minutes for yourself, and breathe, take your shoes off, whatever. I think it's really important. And I started to get away from that pattern. I started scheduling my off time.
Mm.
So now, very frequently these days, I will work 3 weeks and then take a week off. And I'm
Wow.
enjoying that. I just
That's
started doing that,
really
and then I
nice.
travel, and then I disconnect. I have really great staff, so when I disconnect, I really disconnect, and I love it.
Yeah, one of the things that Rod and I are really working towards is getting to a 3-day weekend,
Yeah,
right? Consistently, right?
right.
Because Rod, I mean, that guy, his heart is in the
He
business,
really
and
is.
he has a really hard time separating it, especially when times are tougher, man. He's like, we gotta, and it's really tough for him. I'm like, dude, have you worked on your car? I mean, he loves to work on his car, and it's important, right, that you take the time to unwind.
True.
You gotta release your bow. So looking back, you've been in business a long time.
Yeah.
What are some key things that you've learned that you think would be helpful to other business owners?
Well, I think not biting off more than you can chew. Like, I think when I first started, I was like grabbing on to everything that was new. Um, Keep it simple. I used to do everything. Like, I used to offer all these different services, and I've really trimmed everything down. Be profitable. Use your time well. Your time is worth everything in personal life and in business. So you want to get to a place where you're very profitable and you're not spinning your wheels. Also, creating client personal relationships. I think that's super important. And I didn't realize the importance of that when I was first starting. And creating an experience for people instead of just
Mm.
giving them a service, but creating an experience and getting them to come back. Um, and then again, what we were talking about before, thirdly, definitely getting out of your comfort zone is really great. If you want to, again, if you want to be this person that does X amount and this, great, if that fits. But it's also good to get out of your comfort zone. Um, Being uncomfortable is okay, and it promotes growth. So don't be afraid of growth, but don't bite off more than you can chew. And another thing, save cash. I had a
Mm.
rough year, and I had put away cash, and it got me through the year. It's so important as a business owner. Um, we just sometimes we just get into reinvesting in our business, and we don't have anything liquid. Start saving early. Start putting money away for retirement. Put some cash away. Like, get about $100,000 in the bank if you can, or 50,000, or whatever. That is key to, um, when things go wrong, or if you get sick or you get injured, then your bases are covered.
Yeah, I think that is an underappreciated. I mean, people talk about it a lot, but having the discipline, and Rod is really good. I mean, the guy squeaks when he sits. I mean, he's just, I call him Scrooge McDuck, right? I mean, the guy is tighter than tight, but it also has helped us weather, the downturns, right? And it's like, yeah, we ratcheted down our business, but we had in the back of our mind, we knew that we had a cushion that was going to help us move through some things.
Right.
And sometimes it gives you the power to strategically invest when you otherwise would not be able to.
Truly.
Right. And so it's really, really important. So, and I love one of the things that I've really appreciated in watching you is the relationships that you forged in the industry. I mean,
They're important to me.
I'd
Definitely.
like to tap in on that because
Sure.
I see you and Sydney's relationship, and you mentioned before we went on the air your relationship with Steve Hampton.
Oh.
And, I know Kyle Clark gave you a big shout out. And I just think I think a lot of times we underestimate the power of our network.
That's true. And also asking for help. I mean, some of us get so caught up and we're, in our life, it's like, it's okay to ask for help. And it's like, if I didn't have all these people like Kyle and Sydney and the Parker brothers are great. And Alejandro over there in Costa Rica, and
No, Alonzo's great.
he's so great, and Ricardo, and I mean, we have all these amazing people all over. Jamie Buchanan.
I talked
I
to him
love these
yesterday.
guys.
Yeah.
Alex over in Alaska. Uh, Mark Elliott. I mean, that we have a wealth of talent to
draw
pull
from,
from,
yeah.
but also they're just amazing human beings. And I love, so the opposite of addiction is connectivity. Addiction is a very lonely, isolated place. And then you're getting into, again, depression and all that stuff. So all that connectivity is a cure for me for a happy life. I mean, that it really promotes happiness in me. So I really love connecting with people. And the industry, I mean, just lately, especially with Sydney's awesome. My God, we could talk. When we went to McCall's last year, we talked until 2 o'clock in the morning, just about cars and life. And all of that stuff is really important. It's important, especially when you're in an industry that's so diverse. Like, people do different things, but to connect and look at always reinventing yourself and always reinventing, the way we do things and being more profitable and being better and offering a better quality. I mean, there's a lot to be said there, and there's a lot of people out there to draw from. And we're humans. We need connection.
Yeah, it became very obvious to me just last weekend, right? With COVID,
Ugh.
We have sent all of our guys home, right? Everybody works remote. You got the opportunity to meet one of our little guys. And, but we've really been trying to pull everybody back in, because while we have the flexibility to work remotely, Rod and I have realized that in some ways we've lost some of that culture, because we used to, every month we'd have a lunch together and we'd sit around and talk, and we get together for pizza, or, I'd take people out on the boat, and people have been a little reticent because of COVID. And last weekend I had the opportunity to go tubing the Boise River with one of our teammates. And Dan and I had just such a great day. Yeah, it was just me and Dan, one of our team members, and we were floating the river. We were talking about our families, business, aspirations, just everything.
Love it.
And then got to go out and have a big fat Big Buns burger, right over by Boise State, and stuffed ourselves with onion rings. And that connectivity is really, really important. And it made me realize, I'm like, we need to make sure that we're connecting as a team. I need to do a better job, despite the limitations that COVID threw at us. I need to make sure that I'm making sure we're connecting as a leader. Right. And I had kind of let that slip. We're trying to do it with Zoom, but there's just power in getting together.
It really is. Yeah. And COVID really did throw a wrench in all of that. Like, even in our events, like SEMA and like all those things where we always had a mafia event. We always had, like, it just threw a wrench in everything. And I think a lot of people just got kind of depressed over it. I mean, there was like a lot of sickness. There was a lot of, not everybody's all separated, and a lot of crummy news. And it's really great getting and traveling. I've been traveling so much, and I'm going to continue to travel the rest of the year. And that's like just connection. I love it.
Yeah, there's really power in connection.
Really.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming by and visiting with me. I mean, Rod is going to be so bummed.
I'm super bummed.
Rod was bummed. He's like, "Are you freaking kidding me? She's coming when I'm leaving for the wedding." I'm like, "That's okay. I get to enjoy it."
So the last time he was on, he was like, I think you guys were talking. We were talking about the volcano and how it was belching out like
Shoot, we got
gassy.
volcanoes
volcanic.
belching in
Yeah.
Utah now.
know.
It's like, what are you talking
It was
about?
pretty funny, but that was a good time.
Yeah, he gets a little worried about stuff like that.
Well, we have earthquakes like every day. We probably have like 100 earthquakes on the island every day, and some we feel and some we don't. But it's like, yeah, we live on a volcano. That's how things are.
Like, that's how we roll,
Yep.
man. Yeah. Rod doesn't like that instability.
Yeah.
Whereas me, I'm much more inclined for an adventure.
Yeah.
All right. It's blowing smoke and lava. Yeah, let's go.
It's adrenaline. Let's go.
Let's go. So, well, I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I love your story.
Thank you.
And there's so many women. I've been so humbled as I've visited with them. Bernice Usery.
Oh yeah.
You, Marcy Tran, Jennifer Turcotte. I mean, you can just, but the Buffin Queen, you can just go down. And I'm always inspired by your stories because it's not only a business story, it's a personal story. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in the business story that we miss that the real triumph is what happens with the person. And watching what has happened to you on a personal level as well as a business level, it's inspiring.
Thank you.
I mean, it really, really is inspiring. And, when I think about all of those little girls around Robin Sweet, I'm like, that's legacy, that's impact. And you never know what little thing you do in your life, in your business, how it is going to ripple across so many lives, right? And being able to embrace that journey and being authentically you and opening yourself to go and look, this is my journey. This is where I tripped, but look what I did, right? I own the life choices.
We all trip.
We all trip.
We all do. We're not perfect. We are far from perfect, but it's what we do with it and how we carry on.
That's good. So how do people connect with you? Obviously, I can't detail my boat in Hawaii, but
how do people connect with me? I'm on Instagram, Facebook. I'm just starting TikTok. I'm not very good at it yet, but I'm getting there. And then I have Ake Pro Detail is my my website. AkeProDetail.com.
And if you don't know how to spell Ake, it's Ake. Ake.
It actually means to preserve in Hawaiian.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that has a lot
good.
of that's really, really good.
Inadvertently, I nailed it.
You know what?
I don't even know. Like, there's such a long story about how I was with friends and she's Hawaiian and she came up with that, and I don't even think we knew what it meant or what it was. I mean, it was one of those long nights, but yeah, to preserve is fitting.
That is good, to preserve.
Yes.
Right. Not only you're preserving people's scars, but you're preserving their value, their worth, right? Yes. Especially with your work with Light On and working with those women, taking them to swim with the dolphins. I mean, there's so many ways to touch and impact lives. Truly. Right? So that's great. Well, thank you so much for the conversation.
Thank you. I really appreciate you inviting me today. It was great.
It's super cool. And you guys tuning in, thank you guys so much for joining us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're on all of your podcasts, Spotify, all that. So make sure to go tune in and share. And we will check you guys same time, same bat channel, just next week.
Aloha.
See ya. Oh, yeah. Aloha and mahalo.
And mahalo.
See you guys.
Bye-bye. Awesome.
That was super fun.
That was great.